Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be discussing journaling. Why should you journal? With journaling, I think that it's become such a popular um, trend on the internet. In all parts of the internet, you can always find a video about someone talking about journaling, and I think that's great because this wave has brought a sort of awareness to this beautiful practice known as journaling. However, with all things that have become trends, they tend to become those things tend to become bastardized and reduced to simple, basic, elementary um, things. And with journaling, when it's reduced to just the most basic concept, it becomes a chore. Becomes so uninspiring. And I want this video to encourage you to begin journaling, and although I want you to see it as a ruminative, meditative practice where your inner world can unfold on paper because you write for yourself. A journal is where your inner world is on paper, it unfolds on paper, where your thoughts, your emotions, your experiences all come to life. I'm a big reader. I love to read, especially autobiographies, memoirs, journals of people. And a lot of these people, for example, I love Anais Nin. I love the journals of Sylvia Plath or Emily Dickinson. These people, these women, although they have lived and have passed away before me. When I read their journals, however, I feel so connected to them. When I read biographies of people like Anna Wintour or Grace Jones or Elizabeth Taylor, I love them because you're able to connect to their inner world in a way. You're able to live life as in you were a part of their life. I think that writing journals, you also have to think about the future. Take the future into consideration. When you're older and your memories begin to fade, when you're in your 80s, your 90s, your memories are not clear anymore. When you can't, you know, when you cannot, you're much older, you cannot do certain things, you cannot, I don't know, jump into a lake, you can't do those wild things that you did when you were much younger. When your journal becomes a treasure trove of moments, allowing you to reminisce about the life that you have lived. In addition, your journal is also a way to give your future generations a glimpse into your life. When your great grandchildren are wondering and you are wondering about the lives of your ancestors, your past, they can look at your journals and they can feel a connection to you, despite you guys not being in the same generations. A journal is such a beautiful, beautiful tool, and I really hope that you start picking up the practice of journaling. Like I mentioned previously, I love to read journals, and what I've noticed from reading the journals of Anais Nin, for example, her journals explore her thoughts on art, on relationships, on sexuality, and her development as a character. They provide a candid look at her personal life, and the way she writes her life, it's so introspective and so poetic, you know? And her lives, some of her entries offer a raw and unfiltered glimpse into her psyche, and her interactions with other figures of her time, they're raw, but yet they're so poetic in their manner. And whenever I read her books, her journals, I feel so touched by her, although I've never met her. Emily Dickinson, she did not keep a traditional journal, but her letters and the fragments of her poetry in a way served as her journal, as they reflected her thoughts, her emotions, her life in Massachusetts, her inner world, the struggles that she's faced, her isolation, and you know? The same thing with Virginia Woolf. Her diaries are a critical part of her literary legacy. They provide insight to her creative process, the reflections on the politics at her time. And with Anne, what's her name? Anne Frank, the diaries of Anne Frank, till today still serves as a historical document about the Holocaust. It records her feelings, her thoughts, her experiences during her 2 years in hiding. She writes about the fear and the tension. And when she wrote these diaries, I doubt that she was thinking or that she expected it to be some sort of historical document that shed light into the lives of the people in the Holocaust hiding away from the Germans. So these are all just examples of the people who have written journals and how they have served as a, what do you call it, like a time capsule for people in the future. When you write your journals and they become some sort of time capsule to travel back to. Journals allow you to step out of yourself. They allow you to see life from a sort of third person perspective, to relive experiences and to grow. And I have to mention the difference between journals and diaries, although I will use both interchangeably throughout this video. A diary, I think of it as more so a day-to-day entry. It's like, this is all I did today. It's a more factual entry. It's like, I woke up, I went to work, I had this food, I had that one, I talked to this person, and all of that. While a journal, in my opinion, is more reflective, you know, it's like, what do I think about this? What are my fears? What are my phobias? What was my childhood memory, etc., and etc. But whether you decide to keep a diary or a journal, you can definitely have both. You can definitely have days where you do a more so a diary entry, that is a factual day to day of your life. And there are other days you can decide to do a journal entry, which is um a for a more deeper reflection. And when you're writing your journals, you have to be brutally honest in your writing. Remember, you're writing for yourself. No one's going to be looking over your shoulder, um, policing your thoughts. You have to be brutally honest about whatever you're writing about. Journals are not meant to feed your ego. They're meant to shape your consciousness. They're there to immortalize your life, your thoughts, your opinions. And in a way, a journal is a proof that you have lived. Because can you remember what you did on, let's say, March 22nd, 2023? Or what did you do in the entire September of 2022? Do you remember that? Most likely not. But a journal can help you remember buried memories, and they can help you make connections between emotions and vague recollections, as well as help you explore your inner world and serve as a counterbalance to your outer world. Journals are also spectacular for creative work. They can be a source of inspiration for memoirs, for novels, or for even just personal reflections. Leonardo da Vinci kept dream journals, he kept idea journals where he wrote down all of his ideas for his artistic work, and he also kept down reading journals where he journaled everything that he read about. And all of these combined served as a creative muse and a source of creative inspiration. So I want to encourage you to start journaling. You don't have to journal every single day. You can journal weekly, you can journal monthly, you can journal yearly. Write, start by writing 2 to 3 times a week. Okay, write 2 to 3 times a week. Try free writing, which is you take a piece of paper and you write. Don't lift the pen from your paper, just write. Set a timer and just write whatever comes out. And sometimes try writing in your non dominant hand. Just try writing with your eyes closed. Experiment with just writing fragments. Write quotes, write riddles, and expound on what they mean or what you think they mean. Create a writing ritual or don't. It's your journal, it's your rules. And rereading journals has to be, to me at least, one of the most profound experiences. When I reread my journals, the ones that I've written, I feel so alienated. I feel it's the strangest sensation because it feels like a stranger wrote wrote these journal entries, but they feel so much like me, and it's the craziest experience. It's a strange. It feels so strange, so bizarre, yet so familiar because I'm like, there is no way I wrote this, but I can also remember myself writing these entries. I tend to describe the day, I tend to describe the weather, I tend to describe what I'm doing or what I was doing before I write a journal entry. For example, I can be like, today, right now, it's afternoon, it's hot, it's sunny, and I'm having a mango gelato, and I'm writing about this, and this, about what happened last week, or what happened, in my week while playing a jazz tune or a blues tune or just hip hop, and I try to describe the scenery or as vividly as possible. So when I go back and reread this, I immediately remember that day, that time when I was writing this very specific journal entry. And when you're rereading this your journals, you see a version of yourself that's so familiar and so strange. You tend to find patterns, you tend to find behavioral motivations, like what made me do this. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll rediscover parts of yourself that you may have forgotten. There are plenty of exciting things about writing a journal. Then, of course, journals don't have to be necessarily about yourself. There's something called single purpose journals. You can have one specific journal about your personal life, your beliefs, your inner worlds. You can also have journals about, music. You can have music journals. You can have travel journals. You can have reading journals. You can have art journals, nature journals, work journals, etc. There are plenty of single purpose journals and that you can use to journal about your life. For example, on this day I read this book and this is what I thought about this book and etc. And then of course, a huge deterrent in writing novels for some people is privacy. Some people don't have the security of, living by themselves. So they have, they have to maintain some sort of privacy in with their journals. And if you want to maintain privacy, there are plenty of inspirations. For example, Leonardo da Vinci, he wrote in a way that was only you can only decipher his handwriting when held up to a mirror. And Anais Nin had decor journals where she'd write just it's false journals. She had a journal and she wrote whatever she wanted. Well, not whatever she wanted. It was a decor journal, but her more intimate journal she hid away from others. And you can hide your journal entries by writing in a foreign language. You can I guess, write it, translate it, and then write it in your journal. I guess. If you're writing on the computer, you can encrypt them, you can put password files, you can create a hiding spot somewhere. I think I was reading about someone who like hid his journals. He was from a huge family, so he hid his journals like somewhere in his backyard. I'm like, okay, that's something you could do. And there are plenty of ways to maintain privacy with your journals. I think you just have to be really creative to do so. And of course, it does not matter what sort of notebook you would like to journal in. Some people are a little bit more picky. I'm a little bit more picky because I think that journaling for me is such a ritual that I can't just use any notebook. I have to be excited to go journal. So if you want to do that, just pick a notebook that speaks to you. Notebooks, you don't have to go um and splurge on notebooks or pens. That's honestly that's my vice. But um there are plenty of cheap notebooks that look really good as well. There are plenty of cheap pens that look good. So you have to decide what sort of notebooks you would want to use. And of course, journaling prompts. There are plenty of journaling prompts um, all over the internet. And some of the ones that I suggest are snapshot memories. That's when you think through your memories and you write about them. Write about your room and how it has changed. I know, it doesn't have to be a specific, this is my room. I know people with, as you grow up, you do change rooms, you change bedrooms, you change houses. So write about your room and how it's changed over your life. You may have started out with a really small room. You may have then transitioned into sharing a room. In my life, for example, I started off having one tiny room. That's my bedroom when I was a toddler. And then it transitioned to like a bigger room that I shared with my sibling for like 2 years. And then transitioned again to a new house. We shared a room with I shared a room with my siblings in this house. And then we moved to another house where I also shared a room with my sibling. And then we moved to another house where I had my room. And then I moved, and then I have my room. So you can talk about your rooms and how it has changed, be more descriptive. There are plenty of journal prompts online. Be sure to check them out. I love this journaling prompt. It's called the Proust It's called the Proust Questionnaire, and it was developed by Marcel Proust, the French writer, and he originally answered these questions in the 1890s. And some of the questions go like this: what is your idea of perfect happiness? What is the trait you most deploy in yourself? What is your greatest extravagance? Which living person do you admire the most? What is your current state of mind? What do you consider the most overrated virtue? On what occasion do you lie? Etc., etc. So there are plenty of journal entries to inspire you, and I really, really hope that this video encourages you to take on the art of writing and the art of journaling. It is a journey of self-discovery, so start today and let your life unfold on the pages. And if you think that your journals are boring, like you have nothing to say, then start living and journal about that. Do something out of character and go journal about it. Make your journals a work of art. Make your life a work of art. And I actually want to make a video about making your life a work of art. But yeah, journaling is more than just writing. It's self-discovery, it's transformative, and it's such a powerful tool to discovering who you are and rediscovering who you were. Thank you so much for watching this video. Bye.
Take a journal and start journaling and writing down your thoughts and writing down your dreams. And when I say that, I say, don't do it on a computer, but pick up a pen. I still handwrite a lot of things. Pick up a pen and a journal and write it down. Dreams, I know this sounds woo-woo, but it's not. Dreams are really powerful, very interesting. They're going to tell you a lot about yourself. It's going to tell you about those journeys your brain takes at night that are pretty fantastical. You write that down. You go back into your childhood and you go, what was it that made me so different, that was so weird about me? What was it that I was attracted to? As you go through that process, things will start coming up. It's like you're digging, you're excavating, like you're an archaeologist into your own past.
Yeah, it's like using a brush and brushing off, and you see a little bit of bone, and then you're like, what other questions can I ask around here that might help me remove a little more dirt?
Yeah, and memories will come up, and you'll start connecting to who you were when you were young, and you're connecting to who you were as an adolescent.